name is David Gugino, and in today's book review, I've got an interesting one. They're all pretty interesting, but this one is about, this was a forward book by Dave Ramsey, as in Dave Ramsey looked at it, reviewed it, and the guy that wrote this book actually took, the guy that wrote this book is actually not an assistant, but an employee of Dave Ramsey. So this book is Everyday Millionaires by Chris Hogan. Now, if you all follow Dave Ramsey, you might know who this is, you might not. But he's not on his show, but he does financial stuff with Dave Ramsey. The financial goat, as some might say. Now, a lot of his stuff is old school, but his stuff, though, works. And as crazy as it sounds, that's how it is. His stuff works. So, this book I really enjoyed when I read it, and when I started my reading journey, this book was the one that made me really get into reading books. This was like the third or fourth book that I read when I was living in a little house, working at, I still work at a factory, but working at a metal factory, reading right after work, and even reading, not right after work, but reading before bed. Now, it says at the bottom, how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth and how you can too. So notice he said how ordinary people. A lot of people think that big business people or actors or even music stars were all put in the business because their family was there, they had inheritance, they had the connections, and that people actually blame those people for not getting the success that they want. But now you gotta think, imagine how crazy that sounds. You might be right, but if the shoes were switched, if you put yourself in that other person's shoes, you would have the shoes, you would have the exact same story. The other person would be jealous and you would be fine. Now you might be thinking, well, David, what's the point of that? The point of that is that person that you're blaming for being so successful while you're still here, they would be the exact same way. But that's when it should motivate you, hey, I'm going to make my story different and actually work from the ground up to get the success that I want in life. So then when you in the future meet that person, you're like, you know what? You actually motivated me to work hard and to pursue my dreams. And that's how I view when you look at famous people or when I look at bodybuilders or guys who own their own gyms and strongest men in the world, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to work hard and take time out of my day, whereas that's actually motivated me to work because I believe that humans need to know how to work. Now, your life can't be work, and work as in work on a side hustle, work on something you care about, in the gym, work hard in the gym, try to pursue a goal in the gym. I think it was someone, there was a famous actress, I think her name was Edie Falco from The Sopranos mentioned. When you're trying to be an actor, your goal is to work. As in, you're constantly trying out for auditions. You're constantly doing plays, you're constantly learning how to act. So it's to be an actor, that is the work ethic you need to have. You need to constantly be learning, and you need to do, honestly, whatever gig you get. Because she mentioned, whether it's a 30-second commercial, whether it's a play that I mentioned, whether it's a voiceover, just anything you can put on your resume is what will get you roles. And then she also mentioned, this is the best part about her interview that I watched, is she goes, I'm very blessed to have the job that I have. Yes, I worked for it, but honestly, I'm very blessed to be able to act and do movies for a living. So Edie Falco plays on The Sopranos, but she's a good actress. I will admit, she is a good actress. But we're going to dive into the book here of Chris Hogan. This is a national best-selling author. And if you read the back, the reviews on it are all average people who now have $1 million, $2 million in net worth, and who all started in some crippling debt, and they all rose above to beat the odds and beat their minds when they were all in debt, when they were all poor, when they all hated their lives, to reading, maybe not reading this book, but following all of Dave Ramsey's stuff, and I guess Chris Hogan's, to becoming millionaires. So the examples on the back of this book should show you. I actually read one for you. Started out in 1969, newly married, owning 2 old suitcases and a $350 VW Beetle. Now we own 2 homes, 4 cars, and we are debt-free. We pay cash for anything we wish, including cars. If we can't afford to pay for it in cash, we don't buy it. And that guy's name was Ralph. He has $1.9 million in net worth. That's just how it is. If you work hard for something you want out of life, something will eventually happen. You do have to think that. Your hard work will eventually happen. So now, not eventually happen. Your hard work will eventually pay off and something will happen. Now let's dive into the book here. So the first thing I have in Everyday Millionaires is the wrong way. Way wrong is what he calls it. And the chapter is called You've Been Lied To. So let me know what you think about this. Only 21% of millionaires received an inheritance at all, and only 16% inherited more than $100,000. But wait, let's go further. Only 3% of millionaires received an inheritance at or above $1 million. Think about that. 74% of millennials believe millionaires inherited their millions. But the vast majority of millionaires either didn't get any inheritance at all, or certainly didn't get enough to make them millionaires. So 74% of millennials believe millionaires inherited their millions. When it comes to millennials believing this stuff, I mean, think about what I said earlier. People who like the guy who wants to be a music star, and the music star had all this help and he had nothing, and he's blaming her or him for being so successful and he's not. So let me know how crazy. 74% believe they have inherited their millions, but only 3% of millionaires received an inheritance at or above $1 million. Only 3%. When I think of people who had their money handed to them but made more money, I don't disrespect that at all by any means, but I can probably name like 2 people. Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Paris Hilton. Zuckerberg I only mentioned because the opportunity was there. It wasn't even his idea. It was just there, but he knew how to do the coding. But think about those people. I mean, I can only name 3 people. I can only name 3 people. So if you cannot name a certain amount or have very little knowledge as to how stuff was handed to people and how they became successful, you shouldn't really talk about it. But it's also not that. When they had their money handed to them, they could have easily spent it. They could have easily just threw it away for drugs, smoking. They could have easily just not did anything with it. But just think about that. They took their money and they made their money work for them. So that's how I view it when I hear people like that. Also, some of those people, they might be super nice people and they'll admit it and be super grateful. Yep, I'm very grateful for the life that I had and for the money that my parents or someone gave me. But they might be very grateful and even thankful. I suppose it's the same thing. They might be grateful and thankful that their life was that way, and they don't take it for granted at all. They're not prideful about it or anything. They're just super nice, being like, yep, I was very blessed to have this life. So think about that. So some people view it that way. Some of them do. But think about that, because that's how they might view it. Now the next point that I have. This is about millionaire myth. The wealthy take big risks with their money. So let me know what you think about this. The chapter. Millionaire myth. The wealthy take big risks with their money. And let me know what you think about this. In fact, 80% of millionaires have never even borrowed money from a friend. If they won't borrow money from them, they're certainly not going into business with them. The number one contributing factor to millionaires' high net worth is investing in retirement plans. So something I've heard is when you work for a company and you get a 401k, you throw a lot of money into your 401k, because that means that your money is working for you in your sleep. While you're at work, while you're working out, you are making money. And a lot of it has to do with investing in just little things like mutual funds. Stock market's a little sketchy, but investing in stuff where it's not timing the market, timing the market. Crypto's another one, but crypto and even the stock market is just so risky for me. Now, real estate, on the other hand, it isn't bad, but with real estate, Real estate's risky because you'll have to pay for a lot of stuff if something goes wrong, or if your tenant, the person that rents from you, is not a good tenant. But estate is a pretty good gig. But that's the whole point that he is making, is they don't borrow money from people either. They're not like, hey, I need a loan to pay for this and pay for that. They don't need that at all. But the moral of the story is 80% of millionaires have never even borrowed money from a friend. So when you're blaming this millionaire that you secretly idolize and blaming them for being so successful, oh, they're borrowing money. 80% of millionaires have never even borrowed money from a friend. 80% have never borrowed from a friend. So now the next thing that I have here, which will be my last point, is that beeping you just heard. I've been doing my meal prep, so I'm gonna actually get that out. I cooked a lot of fish today. Tilapia. Actually, I believe it's made me stronger, so I cooked that, and then now I am going to fix all of that. We'll fix it, as in I'm just going to lay it out so it doesn't burn. And right now, my whole house smells like fish, but that's fine. But the last and final point that we have here is, this is probably not one, but if not, one of the wisest things I have probably ever heard of. Not ever heard of per se, but one of the wisest things that I believe everyone should think about when it comes to staying motivated. So now listen to this, because what I'm about to tell you is very, very true. It's almost like so true that it hurts. And a real saying in life is, the truth hurts. But sometimes you have to admit it, that the truth hurts. And it's like life sucks, but the healthiest thing you can do is just admit it. But now listen here to what this says. This really spoke to me and really made me think about staying motivated and even the future. You can't expect to stay motivated throughout a 20, 30, or 40-year journey unless you're seeing wins all along the way. These wins come from short-term goals, such as saving up for a great vacation or buying a car with cash. Knocking out short-term goals gives you a sense of accomplishment and encouragement as you continue to attack your long-term goals. It lets you see that your plan is working, even if you don't have $1 million net worth yet. Second, your goals need to be written down, not just floating around your head. If they're in your head, they're still hopes and dreams. They don't really become goals until you take the bold step of putting them on paper. That has a huge payoff too. Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor who conducted a research study on goal setting, found that we are 42% more likely to achieve our goals just by writing them down. Now, we got a little off topic, but we were right with writing goals down, and this chapter is called Think Ahead. Think ahead. You can't expect to stay motivated throughout a 20, 30, or 40-year journey unless you're seeing wins all along the way. These wins come from short-term goals. So with this, for example, if I was making videos for, let's say, 2 or 3 years and I had no views and had no following coming along, and I started to realize that nothing's going to happen here, I would either, one thing I should do is change my editing process, or let's say I do that and nothing still happens, then it may not be meant for you, because keep in mind, say 2 to 3 years, if 2 to 3 years go by and nothing happens, I'm going to be very, very unmotivated to do these things. Like, very unmotivated. Even if I have all day like today, I'm not going to want to take the 20, 30 minutes out of my day to film these things and put them on my computer. It just won't happen. So that's why it is very important that you all like and subscribe, and even leave a comment to see how I do, or see what other book you want me to review, because I'll order it and read it as quick as I can. Or even a book review I've already done and you want to learn more about, please leave a comment for that. But the moral of the story is, you can't expect to stay motivated. So like when you're motivated to move out and become an actor or start a business, if you continuously say that years and years down the road, you'll eventually lose motivation to even start. But that's not the scary part. You could actually start making money, and then not making money, and then not making money for a while, and then you're just like, you know what, I don't want to do this, I just want to go get a job. Now, how do you stay motivated? honestly, I understand never give up, but you gotta understand the example I just used. You start a business, you make money, then you stop making money. How you stay motivated is you just realize this is a setback and something needs to change. Because some businesses a lot like they should, and some actors don't get a lot of gigs like they want to. And I say sometimes they don't sell a lot of business when they want to, some actors don't get a lot of gigs when they want to, and some athletes don't win all the time. So that is something to think about, but also that's why they have short-term goals. They're going to do this goal to get better. They're going to do this goal to get another acting gig. They're going to do this goal to make just a little bit more money. So before you have this crazy long-term goal, you need to have short-term goals. And I also like this guy, Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor. We're 42% more likely to achieve our goals just by writing them down. When you write down goals, I mean, write them down on a piece of paper, put them on your calendar, so when you look at your calendar, you're like, wow, I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to knock it out, so I don't have to think about it after work, and so I don't have to continuously think about it in the future. So overall, this was a very good book, very good financial book. Chris Hogan is very, very wise. And what's also crazy about Chris Hogan is he started off from a middle-class family, and from a family who was kind of struggling for a bit. They got up to middle class, and this is his life right now. And I don't know what inspired him to do finance, but he works with Dave Ramsey. And what's really interesting about learning about finance is not only do you learn not only do you learn to not what to do, but what to not do. And because finances are huge. Business people, actors, and athletes all have to deal with finances. You might think you're the only one with financial problems, or you think you're the only one with financial discipline. Other big people have to have financial discipline. Like, they have to. Because you will eventually run out of money or have money problems. You can't pay this debt because you just don't have the money. You need to make more money, or you need to sell this to make money, or you need to get in this movie to make money. It does happen. So thank you all for sitting with me through this book. I had a bit of a short one today, but I appreciate you all sitting through it. I hope you all read Everyday Millionaires by Chris Hogan. Thank you all for staying with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope you I hope you nail your goals today. I hope you nail your finances. And the takeaway for today is stay motivated, but stay motivated by accomplishing short-term goals. Accomplish your short-term goals. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day. simply writing them down. Now,